robust. Okay, so any clients who buys a property to invest, to rent out in London will not have an issue with renting out their property. Okay, this also adds on, okay, to the positive house price growth that you see in the market over the last couple of years. So 𝐓𝐢𝐤 has actually predicted, okay, that the UK property prices is expected to grow by 15% on an average, okay, by 2024. Okay, so on a year-on-year property price growth, I would say it's a relatively stable percentage that we see. It's anything between 3 to 5%. Okay, if anybody is looking to make, like 20-30% capital growth in the next 3 to 5 years, unfortunately, London and UK will not be this kind of market for them. So what kind of property market is London and UK? It is actually a stable and strong growth that you see on a year-on-year basis. So it's not as volatile as like some of the other markets that you see in like across the world. It's not like Singapore property where you have huge fluctuations of, like, maybe for example last year you have double-digit growth, and then the following couple of years you have like a decline, and then after that it grows very steeply again. It's not like that. It's a very slow and stable chart where every year the property grows by 3 to 5%. So if you were to plot the chart for the last 30 years, okay, UK property market, essentially every like 12 to 15 years it doubles. Yeah, so it's a very stable market. So for clients who are looking to invest, we usually tell them that it is a mid to long-term holding period. So they will not be able to, if they really want a quick flip, like they want to sell it, like buy for 1 year and then sell it within the next 1 or 2 years. Unfortunately, this is probably not the kind of market that we are looking at. Yeah, but what the UK and London property market can give to clients is a very strong rental market as well as a stable growth. Okay, so the last one will be in terms of education. So just in London alone, there is actually more than 40 to 50 university institutions, and out of which, like you have some of the really world-renowned ones, which you've definitely heard before, like the London School of Economics, UCL, ICL, and so on and so forth. I'm going to show you a little bit more about the world-class education that London has to offer. Of course, Oxford and Cambridge are the 2 top universities in UK, but they're not located in London. So if anyone is looking to buy, is looking to send their kids to these any of these 2 schools, usually we'll tell the client that it's probably not so ideal for them to be investing in a house in Oxford or Cambridge, because even though the student population there and the international student population there is great, but there is no like supporting in terms of economics as well as tourism in those areas to support their long-term property investment. So what a lot of times, right, we advise the client is to actually buy a house in London, rent it out, and then use the rental that they get from the house in London to pay for the rental for their kids if, let's say, they go to Oxford and Cambridge. Yeah, and eventually, if their kids, like finish their education and then they go back to Indonesia or they go somewhere else to work, then they can continue to rent out the apartment in London, or they can actually sell it away. Because I think the exit market for Oxford and Cambridge houses is definitely, less ideal as compared to buying a property in London. Okay, so next, for UK properties, just to give you an idea, it is pretty much a long leasehold compared to some of the other markets in the world. For example, Singapore. We always like to compare it to Singapore because I do know that many Indonesians love to buy Singapore properties. Generally, most of the UK properties, apartments that you see in London, they are 999 years leasehold. Even though it's not a freehold title, but 999 years is a relatively long time. It allows them plenty of time to hold the property, and you can even own it through multiple generations. Yeah. So this is one good and positive thing about buying a property in London. So the second one is financing options. Okay, this is very interesting because not many countries allows interest-only mortgages. Australia properties, yes, but unfortunately, currently, as of the market right now, when foreigners buy Australia properties, the Australia banks do not really lend to them anymore. Even if they do, it's probably to Australian PRs or Australian citizens. Then you're allowed to borrow from Australian banks that might be able to offer you interest-only mortgages. But unlike Australia, UK allows foreigners to apply for mortgages if they want to buy a UK property through UK banks. So all foreigners are eligible to borrow from UK banks, and only UK banks offer interest-only mortgages. There is also another option for foreigners to borrow, which is Singapore banks. So in Singapore, we have OCBC, UOB, Maybank, and CIMB that offers UK mortgages if clients are interested. But the thing is, currently, as of now, the interest rates that these four local banks are offering is actually higher than most of the UK banks. So, and also, just to let you know, if you want to borrow from a Singapore bank, you cannot take an interest-only mortgage. You can only do a principal plus interest-only mortgage. So, which is why a lot of our clients, after they consider the various options, they tend to go and apply for mortgages through UK banks. So, how do you do that? Okay, we have mortgage brokers who specifically does UK properties to help you do that. You don't have to go to every single bank and try to apply for a mortgage. It's going to take you a long time. So what we usually recommend is for the client to just talk to the broker, submit all their documents to the broker, and the broker will help them source for the best available loan suited for the client. Because every single client, their profile is different, their requirements are different, so it works very differently. So we have brokers who has offices in Singapore, okay, and and some of them have offices across the world to help you to do that. Just let us know. We'll provide all these details to your clients. Okay, the next one is stamp duty. So when we talk about stamp duty, obviously UK and London is a global city. So just to compare a global city to a global city, like an apple to apple, if I were to use like London to compare to like Thailand, for example, it wouldn't be so much of an apple to apple comparison. So my comparisons will be comparing between London to New York to Singapore to Hong Kong. If you look at the stamp duty rates for these few countries, okay, I'm sure you probably many of you would have already heard that Singapore stamp duty now for foreigners is 60%, 60. So for any foreigner who wants to buy a property in Singapore, you have to pay 60% additional stamp duty to our government. And if you compare to Hong Kong, which is about 30% stamp duty, and even New York, which the stamp duty is also relatively high, London is actually one of the countries that has the lowest amount of stamp duty that a foreigner needs to pay. Just to give you an idea, if a foreigner were to buy a £1 million, okay, London property, the total stamp duty that he or she needs to pay is around 10 to 11%, inclusive of all the additional stamp duty plus the basic stamp duty. This is actually a lot lower than most of the countries, even countries like Melbourne and Sydney. Because from what I recall, and if my numbers are not wrong, Sydney and Melbourne stamp duty are about 12.5 to 13.5%. Yeah, so you can actually see that, right? In terms of investment, including all your additional cost and like a financing option, UK and London actually presents itself as quite an advantageous city as compared to some of the rest of the global city. And of course, the last one I've already covered in my earlier slide, okay, which is the strong rental demand that you see in London properties. Yeah, and because right in UK and in London, the taxes for income tax is quite high. So a lot of the young people, they don't live in London as in like when they grow up. So when they they actually move to London when they pursue higher education, like when they want to go to a university to study, or after they finish their university, they go to London to find work. And so, which is why many of their families do not live in London. And when they move to London, they need to rent a house and work at the same time in order to, live there. And because of the high tax that they pay, okay, for income, the average age, right, for a local British to own a property is at least around between the age of 34 to 37 years old. So many of them, right, if they move to London to find work at the age of 23, 24, they actually rent for the next 10 to 12 years before they can eventually save enough money to afford their first house. Okay, so in terms of rental demand, right, we are not just looking at foreigners who are looking to rent London properties. There's many, many local British, right, who are actually renting these London properties as well. Yeah. Sorry, give me a second. I just realized that I think there are some people who are not muted yet. So let me just try to mute everyone. Yeah, I think it's done. All right. Okay, let me just continue on. Okay, so just now I've touched on the 6 different pointers as to why people invest in UK and in London. So the first one that I've gone through is London is the best in terms of Global Cities Index. So how is this index derived? Okay, they take environmental, economic, innovation, and transportation as 4 key main, assessment factors. Okay, you can see from this chart, right, that as of last year, London is ranked number 1 in terms against all the rest of the global cities in the world as the most investable city. So Boston and San Francisco is ranked 2nd and 3rd, followed by 4th for New York, and then Melbourne is ranked number 5. And actually Singapore is ranked number 8 and Hong Kong number 9 across the whole of the global cities in the world. Yeah, so London is really a great place if you're talking about a place to live in as well as a place to invest. Okay, then next we look at the population just in London alone. Currently, right now, okay, there's 9 million people that's living in London, including Greater London. Okay, and by 2041, okay, the expected population growth is to reach 9.96 million, which is a 10.6% growth, okay, in about 15 years' time. So all these people who are moving to London, eventually they will need housing. Okay, this means that there is going to be greater demand for residential homes, yeah, and there is a need for the UK government and the London government to be building more and more homes in order to cater to the population growth that's in the market. Okay, so demand and supply is a very key important denominator and factor when people look at where to invest in the world. Okay, so if you look at this chart, okay, this chart is showing you the demand versus the supply that is in the market for UK housing. Okay, we start off with 2026. So this 300,000 mark that you see, this purple dotted line, is the number of houses that's required to be completed every year in the market, okay, from the UK government in order to meet with the housing demand that is required in terms of the number of population who needs a house to live in. Okay, and the green color chart, right, the green line that you see over here is the actual number of houses that is actually built. Okay, so what this means is that there is an under supply, there's a shortfall of houses between the ideal state that the UK government needs to achieve versus the actual amount that is already being constructed. So this is the gap and the shortfall and the undersupply that we have been seeing in the market for the many years. Okay, there's just not enough houses to go around, which is why for every listing that comes into the market, there is more than there's at least 25 applicants that's inquiring on a house because it's just not enough house to go around. So just based on the undersupply issue, right, that you see, that, right, there is a very big market for properties for rental. Yeah, we have many like rental agents out there. We call them letting agents in the UK. That is always constantly coming to us for stocks to rent, because they have so many tenants waiting in line for housing to come up. Yeah. Okay, so here is another chart just to show you in terms of the amount, the percentage for house price rental growth on a year-on-year basis. So if we look at the table, okay, in the middle, so this actually shows the quarterly change, okay, in terms of the average rent. So currently right now, in the whole of UK, okay, the average asking rental per month stands at £2,500. So just to give you an average idea of, a house in London, averagely you need to pay £2,500 a month in order to rent a property. Okay, and the quarterly change is close to about 1%. And in terms of annual change, in terms of rental appreciation, as of first quarter of this year, it's at 14%. And of end of quarter four of last year stands at 15.7%. So you can see that the annual change in terms of asking rental, right, is a double-digit growth. Okay, this year, their projection for annual change in terms of rental growth has fallen a little bit, but we are still at a very healthy range of about 6 to 7% in terms of annual change for rental growth. So in terms of rental inquiries, okay, pre-pandemic versus now, we see a 50% increase in the number of rental inquiries. This is because many corporations are now requiring their staff to return to office to work. Yeah. So even if they don't need to go back to the office to work 5 days a week, they still minimally need their staff to be in the office like at least 3 to 4 days in a week. This actually causes many of the staff to need to actually relocate themselves closer to their offices in London, yeah, in order to commute to work. Yeah, because during the pandemic period, many of them actually move further away, so that they can pay lower rent and they can have bigger spaces, because at that point of time, many of them could work from home. But this phenomenon has changed right now. It's back to pre-pandemic. Everyone is required to go back to the office for most number of days in a week, which is why everybody is moving back close to London or in London itself. So again, just to show you the index of private renting in the whole of UK. So as you can see, since 2005, this chart has been increasing on a year-to-year basis. As of 2002, the index for private rental stands at close to 115%, and we foresee it to continue to grow in 2023 towards upwards to 2024. So the last bit that I've covered, why do people look to invest in UK and in London? Not just because of the few key points that I've mentioned earlier, but also in London alone, there's plenty of renowned colleges, renowned universities, and out of which the first four logos are universities or top universities that's located in London. You have your Imperial College, your King's College, your London School of Economics, and your UCL. Okay, so there's a lot of foreign students that goes to these four colleges yearly, and all four of them are located in central London areas. They have got different campuses spread over the whole of London, but I would say that amongst all the universities that you see in London, these four universities attract most of the top foreign talents. Yeah. And after these people graduated from these universities, they tend to remain in London to work. Yeah, which is why many of these top talents remain in London, and hence why London is a global city for finance and for fintech as well as for technology. Okay, next part, I'm going to introduce you to the company that I work for, which is Barclay Group. Okay, so why choose the Barclay Group among the rest of the developers in the UK? So our brand has been in operation for 46 years. We started out in the 1970s with prime central London properties, and we've been operating for more than 40 over years. We've had 40 over years of property development experience. Okay, we are one of the biggest property developers in the UK. If you're talking about, in terms of size, I would say I'm not too sure about Indonesia developers, but if some of you are familiar with Singapore developers, you can pretty much compare us to CDL, 𝐤𝐤𝐤𝐿, and Far East. So we are, amongst the tops in UK and in London. So we are also a FTSE 100 company. So top 100 companies in the UK. So out of the top 100 companies, there's only 3 companies that are in real estate development, and we are one of them. Okay, so we are also public listed on the London Stock Exchange market. So we are a listed company. Okay, in terms of contribution to the UK GDP, we've actually contributed about 14 billion pounds over the last 5 years to UK's GDP. We are also multi-award winning. We have won many different awards for many of our developments every single year. We're always kind of in the news. We are quite proud of everything that we develop. We really ensure and endeavor to create a place where people can live, work, and play. So just to give you some fun facts, over the last 5 years, we've actually built 10% of the total number of homes that was delivered in London alone. Yeah, and in terms of contributing to the job economy in the UK, we've actually also provided about 27,000 jobs, to the UK employment and economy. So currently, right now, we are also the only developer only UK developer that has 8 global offices around the world. So we are very familiar with the international side of business. We are very familiar with international investors. Our offices out of the UK are in Hong Kong, Singapore, Shanghai, Beijing, Dubai, Bangkok, Shenzhen, and Chengdu. So just in China alone, we have 4 offices. Our office in Singapore, which is where I am based in, has been around for 10 years. We started in 2013. So for many of your clients who might not go to UK or might not travel to London, but might actually come to Singapore, you're more than welcome to invite them to come over to our office to know more about Barclay projects when they are here in Singapore. Yeah, I know that many of the Indons actually come to Singapore for holidays, to visit the doctor or visit their family that's here, or maybe they have kids who are studying here. Yeah, so more than happy to host them when they are here. You just have to let us know. Okay, so this is just 2 maps I want to show you. Okay, the first one on the left actually shows you the number of property development sites that we have in UK, in London. So, sorry. Okay, you want to meet me as co-host, and I help you mute off new. Give me a second. Because I just want to just join on the connection. Oh, okay. Hang on, give me a second. How do I make you a co-host? I think I need to find you first. Co-host. I can only make you host. Okay. Then I would think I will just try to do it all. Let me hold on. "46 London developments. There are 32 which is already launched and that we are constructing at the moment. Our development sites, most of them are generally quite big. So they are not like 1 block, 2 blocks that you see. They are like very huge master plans. acres, tens of acres or hundreds of acres of land. So those that you see that's under construction, I've got many different phases. So I will explain a little bit more into detail as to how it works. Okay, and also we have 14 future sites that some of them has already been launched. Like say for example, number one, Bethnal Green, we've just launched it this year. We still have many more to come in the next 3 to 5 years time. Yeah, so currently right now we have 46 London sites, and in terms of the regional sites we have across the rest of UK, altogether we have 50 sites. We also do have 2 developments that's in Birmingham. We have 2 developments in Reading, and then we also have developments in Slough and the other counties such as Hertfordshire, Hampshire, Escort, Sevenoaks, Watford, many different sites across the rest of London. So what I'm trying to say is many of the agents come to us because of the sheer number of sites that we have. I think we can really try to find something that is suitable for your client's needs. So this is a map of London. It's a tube map of London that shows you the transportation links. This is only for the underground lines. It doesn't show the overground lines. If I were to show the overground lines, it's going to be a lot more comprehensive than this. With what we have done is we've actually put the development sites that we have in London on this tube map to make it easy for our agents to refer to. A lot of our clients like this a lot. So what our agents do is sometimes the clients will ask, oh, what do you have in London? Then what we'll do is we'll just look at the map and then we'll try to find something for them. Because a lot of times what they like to ask is, oh, do you have anything that's near this train station, near King's Cross, for example? Do you have anything that's near Hyde Park? Do you have anything that's near Oxford Circus? So we take out this map and then we start, showing them, and they say, okay, we have this, that's here, we have that, that's here. So this is a map that we use to showcase all of Berkeley developments. So what does Berkeley do that sets it apart from the rest of the developers? Okay, so the main key one is Berkeley is very much involved in large regeneration across the whole of London and also the rest of UK. So what does regeneration means? It means that we take a very large parcel of brownfield land that has got nothing there, and then we redevelop and we transform the whole area over an extended period of time, okay, to create a place where people can live, work, and play. So a lot of our sites, we don't just create residential homes. In fact, many of our sites, right, at least 30% or even 40% is catered just for landscaping alone. So these are all, landscapings in terms of parks, in terms of trees, in terms of, yoga places, in terms of, so we create all these parks and realms inside the development, okay, and we usually cater about 30% of it just to do this. And with other than the public, parks and realms that we have, we also create facilities within the development. So facilities such as your concierge, your lounge, your swimming pool, your gym, your yoga studio, even private cinema room, private karaoke room, private golf stimulation rooms, and etc. etc. Of course, not every single development has everything that I've just mentioned earlier. Some of the higher end one has got most of it. Some of them has got lesser. But some of the high end developments, we even have private spa treatment rooms that is inside the developments that client can just hire a masseuse to come in and do a spa for you. So these are the kinds of things that we offer inside the development itself, other than just residential homes. So we don't just build the homes. We really create a place where people, can walk around, people can exercise, people can run around, and the homes that we build are of high quality. So it doesn't really matter which location they are located at. In terms of build quality, I would say that we are really one of the best amongst many of the UK developers. we've got like, specifications, upgraded specs, that we offer for our homes. And all our homes comes with 24 months build warranty internally. So for the first 2 years, everything that's inside your apartment is warranted for. And then all our buildings come with 10 years build warranty. So the exterior of our building has a 10 years warranty for all our new homes. Yeah, so this is the reason why, in terms of like transformation, we are very, very different from many other developers. And what does this master plan, mean? And what does this regeneration means? It means that, like for investors who are looking to buy early into the phases of this kind of master plan, okay, they can ride along with us, okay, to have a much higher capital gains in terms of the house price growth that they can have compared to some of the other smaller developments. Yeah, because we don't launch everything together at the same time. So if I have a master plan of, say for example, if I announce that I'm gonna build 2,000 homes in this piece of land, okay, I'm not gonna be launching and building 2,000 homes all together at the same time. I will only be launching my first phase, which has like maybe 100 over homes, and only after I sell 80-90% of these homes, then I launch another block which is like 100 over units, and then I launch another block which has 100 over units. So the whole entire 2,000 homes would be delivered to the whole community within a 10 to 15 years period. It's not going to be like, within the next 3 years, I'm going to flood the market with 2,000 houses. That would not be the case. So if you're an investor and you buy early into those blocks, okay, chances are by the time I reach the middle phases, where I've already started building like maybe 300, 400, 500 homes, I'm going to slowly be increasing my prices as I go along. So what this means for initial investors is that they will see a higher capital value uplift, yeah, compared to them just buying like, one building that has only like 200 homes, for example. Yeah. So this is what regeneration does for investors. Okay. So just to give you an idea, because today we are concentrating on London, I'm not going to touch on the rest of UK. Okay, in London alone, there is 32 boroughs. Okay, London has a 9 million population as of now. Okay, so these are the 32 different boroughs of London. If you take out the London map. Yeah. So of course, Westminster is where your most of the embassies and governing bodies are located. That's also where a lot of the ministers work. You have your Kensington and Chelsea, which is over here. That's where Hyde Park. Yeah, and the most expensive part of London is most of the expensive homes are located in Kensington and Chelsea area. So you have your Mayfair, you have got your Knightsbridge, you've got your Chelsea, you've got your Belgravia, all located in this part. And then next to it, you have also a very expensive area, which is Hammersmith and Fulham area. So this is called Central West London Zone 1. Okay. Then next, you have got, let me just introduce to you some other parts of London, like key parts of London. Okay. Where you have this central area, you have your King's Cross, which is the main interchange where you can take trains to go to different parts of Europe. You can take a direct train via the Eurostar to go to Paris in just 2 hours. Yeah, so this is where King's Cross is located. And then also in King's Cross, currently right now, this is also where most of the tech companies are. So the tech companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, Samsung, Huawei, they are all located in King's Cross, Islington region. So which is this area over here. Okay. Then next, you have your CBD, which is the Central Business District. In London, there is 2 Central Business Districts. One is called Bank, and the other one is called Canary Wharf. So Bank is the original first CBD of London. Okay, many of the financial institutions, accounting firms, law firms, many of the top services are still located there. But about 25 years ago, because Bank is overly congested, they've actually, decided that they're going to open up a new CBD, which is called Canary Wharf, that's located in Tower Hamlets, which is located in East London, that's over here. So today, Canary Wharf is the second largest business district in London. It has more than 125,000 people working there every single day. Most of the top financial institutions can be found there. Names like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Citibank, HSBC, you name it, the top accounting firms, PwC, they're all located in Canary Wharf itself. So this Canary Wharf is another place that you have to kind of like know, okay? So of course, London is extremely big. The few places that I've mentioned are all, the central London areas. But as you can see, beyond the central London zone 1 and 2, there's many different boroughs, okay? There are some of these boroughs which I believe probably will be a little bit similar to your Jakarta and Surabaya, which is not exactly in the central area, but a lot of your locals like to live there because, for example, it has great amenities such as a good connection to the central, like highways that goes into the central areas. Like there's good schools that's located there. So some of these areas, okay, which are really popular among the locals are areas like Greenwich, okay, areas like Lambeth, areas like Wandsworth, areas like Ealing, okay, areas like Camden, and areas like Hackney. So these are the areas and which is not literally smack right in the central, but many locals like to live there because of the good connectivity that you have. Okay, in London, it's very important to be close to a train station because many people do not drive. Okay, why? Because if they work in central London, okay, they cannot afford to drive and park there in central London simply because, one, there's a congestion charge when you drive your car in. Okay, you have to pay an additional fee when you drive your car into central London. And two, it's extremely expensive to park there. And three, the jam is so bad that, it's actually easier and faster for you to take a train to go to work than to drive into central London. So many people commute to work using the train. So it's very crucial and important to be looking at property investments or properties that is well connected via the train lines. So as you can see just now from the earlier slide, there's many different train lines in London. You don't need to confuse yourself with so many of them. We can recommend something that, is good for your client. So this is, again, another train map, okay? But instead of, seeing all the different lines, okay, I want you now to concentrate on the colors that's on the line, that's on the map. So you have your white, then you have green, you have yellow, you have this beige, and then blue, okay? So why is all this important? Because this is how the zonings are being identified. Okay, so zone 1 is where all the white area is covered. So this is the zone 1 of London, which is the most central of London. Then after that, you go out, you have zone 2. Then you go out to the yellow one, you have zone 3, and then zone 4, zone 5, zone 6. Okay, the zones are not a circle line, okay? And how it is being marked out, it all depends on the transportation network in London. They are the ones that drafts this. Yeah. So if you're unclear, you can just refer to this map to see which area falls into zone 1, which area falls into zone 2. Of course, you can always ask myself or NG or some of the project ICs. We will let you know. Okay. So earlier on, I've touched a little bit on the financial district, which is Bank and Canary Wharf. So as you can see, Bank is located at zone 1, but Canary Wharf is not located in zone 1. Canary Wharf is located in zone 2. Okay, so one of the projects that we are going to showcase to your clients this coming week is actually one project that is located in Canary Wharf itself, called South Quay Plaza. Okay. Then next, I've also shared with you King's Cross. That's where all the tech companies are, which is your Google, YouTube, Facebook, Huawei, Samsung, is located here. Okay, the Chinatown of London, Leicester Square, Covent Garden, and Soho is also located in Zone 1 London itself. And then the rest of the shopping area, which is where a lot of people like to go, which is your Knightsbridge, your Harrods, your Bond Street. Yeah, they are all located in the central west of London, which is where here it is. And then of course your Big Ben is located at Westminster, just to give you an idea. If you look at property prices in this area, okay, in zone 1, just to give you a summary, okay, the pounds per square foot ranges from 1,400 to 8,000 pounds per square foot. Anything in zone 2 is generally from 1,000 per square foot to 1,400 per square foot. And zone 3 will be 700 pounds per square foot to 1,100 per square foot. Of course, this is a very, very general guideline. Okay, I'm not saying that everything will be exactly like that, but this is just a rough guideline, you know, for the kind of pounds per square foot that you can expect. It's actually per square foot, not per square meter. Sorry, there's a typo here. Okay, so earlier on, I also spoke a little bit about the regeneration and what kind of like property price gain you can expect when you buy a regeneration property. So from this picture, right, okay, it shows you one project that Barclays has in zone 2 north of London. It's called Woodbury Down. Okay, so as you can see, Woodbury Down is very near to the city. This is where the CBD, which is Central Business District Bank, is. So you can see from the development itself. In fact, we have quite a number of developments that can actually see Canary Wharf and Bank. Yeah, as in a number of units that's on the higher floor facing the city. So Woodbury Down, right, why is it so unique? Is because one, it is only 10 minutes via the train to King's Cross, which is where the tech companies are located. And two, it's the only development in London that has reservoir next to it. Yeah, you can hardly find any reservoir in London, and this is the only one that's next to the reservoir. So this is the reservoir that's here. So when we first started out, this is the before picture. As you can see, the reservoir, the color is also different. It's not because I've, edited this video, no. But what we've done is we have actually worked together with the UK government and the London government to transform the reservoir and to clean up the reservoir so that the reservoir today is habitable. That means people can actually do water sports on the reservoir itself. Yeah, which is why the color of the water also looks different. So as you can see, when we first took over this piece of land, okay, it kind of looks like this. And today, Woodbury Down looks like this. We have really transformed the area over the last 15 years, okay, to make it look completely different. Yeah. So what this means for investors. Okay. So if we just look at the capital appreciation for Woodbury Down. Okay, in 2012, okay, if you have bought a property in our phase 1 at Woodbury Down, on average, a 1-bedroom will have cost you £275,000. And today, at phase 5, my 1-beds are selling for £590,000. This is the kind of capital appreciation and the kind of values that you can look if you buy a regeneration project for Barclays. Yeah. Of course, if there is any other developers that's doing regeneration projects, there will also be price growth. But what I'm trying to show you is, the power of regeneration and the power of placemaking. And also, if you just look at your, in terms of rental, the kind of year-on-year increase you have for your property. So if you have bought a property in 2012, a 1-bedder, you have actually rented it for approximately 1,150 per month. But today, okay, at Woodbury Down, okay, a 1-bedder would be renting for 1,700 to 1,900 pounds per month. Yeah. So this is the kind of rental value increase that you will have over the years as well, other than capital values. So, which is why, UK is an extremely, I would say, stable property market. Yeah, like I've mentioned, you won't expect to see huge price growth or huge rental growth, but it will be a slow and stable growth. So the next one that I want to show you will be another of our development called Royal Arsenal Riverside. So this development, we have spent 23 years here already. Okay, so we've really transformed the area, and today we even have a crossrail train station literally right on our doorstep inside our development. So this is the before picture, and then this is the current today. If you go to Royal Arsenal, we took this with a drone. This is an actual photograph. It's not a CGI. Okay, so you can see that, you know, like this is Royal Arsenal Riverside today. Yeah, and why is it called Royal Arsenal Riverside? Because it used to be the Royal Artillery, where the Royal army, they actually store their ammunitions here. So long ago, it was the Royal Artillery. So in terms of capital growth, just looking at 10 years alone, okay, at Royal Arsenal Riverside, we've seen a 234% capital growth just based on the stats from 2010 to 2020. Yeah. So if you have bought a one bedder here, okay, in 2010, it would have cost you slightly less than 200k, and today our one bedroom goes for 465,000 pounds. Okay. So now that I've covered, Barclay and the Barclay regeneration in terms of our master plan and what this kind of regeneration can do for investors, I would now like to go into the procedures of buying a UK property, as well as a little bit on, what kind of taxes can people expect when they buy a UK property. So first of all, when a client decides to buy a UK property, or even yourself, you might even be interested in buying a UK property or invest into a UK property after this. So if you decide to reserve a unit, okay, the reservation fee usually ranges from 2,000 to 10,000 pounds, depending on which property it is. Okay, then thereafter, you will have to fill out a reservation form. The reservation form will have basic information such as your property, where is it, bedroom type, the price, the address, etc., etc. Now, of course, the client's name, the client address, the client contact numbers, and email address, and also some of the terms and conditions of the purchase. We also need to collect your client's proof of identity, which is a passport of your client, as well as a proof of address. So how do you, what can be collected as a proof of address will be any of the recent 3 months utility bill or bank statement. We cannot collect mobile phone statement or credit card bill. I can't have that. It has to be a utility bill or bank statement. Then thereafter, we'll send the client a few choices for them in terms of the lawyers and their fees. And then the client can choose to see which lawyer they want to appoint, and we'll fill up the lawyer's details on the reservation form as well. Okay, so once the lawyer is appointed, our lawyers, the developer solicitor, will then issue out the contracts to your client's lawyers, and then your client's lawyers will review the contract, and they will take, then they will send another email to your client with the contract as well as their terms of business, and your client has 21 days to review this contract. Okay. Then thereafter, they can, clear all the different clauses, any queries that they have with their lawyers. And at the same time, the lawyers will also ask your client for 2 things, which is their source of wealth and their proof of wealth. So they will need to ask your client some questions like, where are they working at? And they will need to submit their proof of employment. So if a lot of them, I understand, they are business owners, they will need to give their name cards or some information about their company, and they will need to send their lawyers any of the recent 6 to 12 months bank statement of the money that they are transferring the first 10% from. Okay, because in UK they need to run this thing, what they call the anti-money laundering policy, in order to comply with it. So they need the bank statements to actually run through and see where the money is coming from. So all this is sent through the lawyers. We are not involved in it. So all the correspondence can be done via email. So they don't have to physically meet up with the lawyer. If they want, they can actually do a Zoom call with the lawyer just to check some questions, but it's not necessary for them to meet face to face. So once the lawyer is happy with the source of wealth and the proof of wealth, then the lawyer will tell the client, okay, I'm happy with whatever you have provided me. You can proceed to transfer your 10% down payment to me, less the reservation fee that they have paid when they reserve the unit. So then after that, they can sign the contract and then scan and email the contract back to the lawyer. Then the lawyer will proceed to exchange the contract with the developer's lawyer and transfer the 10% to our lawyers. So this 10% is kept inside the trust account, okay, which is very safe, and it has an insurance to it, so the client doesn't have to worry that anything happens to that 10%. It's all covered by insurance. Okay, the next one, okay, there will be a stage payment. Okay, so this is the key difference between buying Australian property and buying UK properties, because I understand that for Australian properties, it's generally 10% upon deposit and 90% at completion. So there's this stage payment that they have to pay. It depends on what project it is, but typically it will be either a 5% payment or 10% payment or 15% payment. Okay, which will happen 6 months, 12 months, or 18 months after the contract has been exchanged. Okay, then the last bit will be when the property is about to be completed, meaning to say when we are about to hand over the property to them. Okay, so 6 months before the property is ready, we will contact usually we won't contact the clients directly. Maybe we'll tell the agent that, okay, look, your client is completing soon. Your client's completion is happening soon. Could you please tell the client to start their mortgage application? So this is where they start talking to the brokers to apply for mortgage. Of course, if it's a full cash purchase, then they don't need to do this. Yeah, but if it's a mortgage, if they require a mortgage, then they need to start 6 months prior to give themselves a bit of time. Of course, the whole application will not take 6 months, but usually when you start talking to clients, it might take a while to get back to you. So to be safe, to be conservative, we will tell them 6 months is the ideal timeline. So after they start the application, the same thing, when the property is about to be ready, we will also need to get a valuer to go into the unit to do valuation. And then thereafter, completion will happen. That's where they pay the remaining balance, 75% to 80%, and that's also when they pay the stamp duty. So when the property is completed, they can then go and engage a letting agent to rent out the property. Okay, so this is it's quite simple. I'm just going through like just a quick overview of how the whole property purchase takes place. Then next, whenever clients talk about buying a UK property, they like to ask what are the costs involved. Okay, so when you buy a property, the cost is very, very straightforward. Okay, other than the property price, you have to pay, obviously, stamp duty. That's number 1. Then 2, you need to pay legal fees to the lawyer. That's number 2. And then the last one will be mortgage fees. That's number 3. But there's an asterisk there because if they don't take mortgage, then they don't need to pay mortgage fees. But if they do, then they need to pay mortgage. That's paid to the lender and paid to the broker, not to us. Okay, legal fees is usually about 2,500 to 3,500 or 4,000, depending on the price of the property. So the more expensive it is, the higher the legal fees will be. When the client is about to buy the property, we can send them the rate card from the different law firms. It's more or less the same, and then they can compare and see which lawyer they are more comfortable with. Okay, stamp duty, I will touch on a little bit more later on. Okay, so next part, which is the middle section that you see over here, the retaining costs. So when they rent out the property, obviously there's a cost involved. Okay, the first one will be service charge. This is your equivalent of maintenance fee. This is the money that you have to pay for all the facilities that's inside the development. Usually this is charged per quarterly or half yearly. So service charge again depends on the development, on how I think the same rules apply. The more prime, the more central the property is, the service charge tends to be a bit higher compared to if you buy a property that's in zone 2 or zone 3. Okay, next one is council tax. So council tax is only payable by the person who is living in the property. So if the property is being rented out, the tenant pays for it. Your client doesn't need to pay for it. But if your client's children or your client themselves are living inside the property, then they need to pay council tax. So council tax, there's a band, there's A, B, C, D band, and again, every borough has different council tax. We will advise accordingly based on what the client chooses to buy. So the next one will be income tax. So if you rent out your property, there's income tax to be paid. But if you don't rent out your property, this is not applicable. I will share on how much the income tax is in another slide later on. And the last one will be letting and management fees. This is payable to the agent that helps you to rent out and manage your property. Typically the fees ranges from 12.5% to 14% per annum, depending on which agent you choose. Okay. The last one is when the client chooses to sell the property. There is three different things. One is called capital gains tax. So this is tax on the amount of money that they earn. Okay, so if they earn 100K from the property, then the 100K is taxable. If they earn 200K, then the 200K is taxable. So inheritance tax. Inheritance tax is applicable when they decide to will the property to their children or to someone else. But I'm not a tax expert. This I shall not touch too much on it. I think if the client wants, we can get the tax consultant to advise on this. And of course, when you sell your property, there's agent's commission involved. Typically, the commission ranges from 2 to 3% to the agent when they help you to sell the property. Okay, stamp duty. This one might look a bit confusing, but there is a UK stamp duty calculator available online. What I do is usually I'll just key in the property price and then tick according to the client's status, and then the stamp duty will be automatically calculated by itself. You don't have to go and do it on your own. But as you can see from this table, there's a standard rate and then there's a for second home rate. Okay, standard rate only applies for locals. That means if you are UK British living in the UK, you're a UK resident, okay, then you look at at the standard rate. Okay, most of our clients, for investors who's not living in the UK, you look at this. So as you can see, for second home, there's a 2% difference for every category. That's because there's a 2% additional surcharge, okay, that applies to non-UK residents individual. So how are you called a non-UK resident individual? That's where you reside out of the UK, you have to pay this extra 2%. So for foreigners, you look at this category, this 5, 10, 15, 17. Okay, so the first 250,000, so these two are the same, 5%, 5%. For the first 250,000 pounds of the property price, your client pays 5%. Okay, then the next 250,000 and $1 all the way to up to 995,000 pounds, the client pays 10%. It's taxed at 10% in terms of stamp duty. So anything more than 925,000 and $1 all the way up to 1.5 million pounds of the property price is taxed at 15%. So just to give you an idea, like I explained earlier, if the client buys a £1 million property, the stamp duty all in, add up together, is around like 10 to 11%. Yeah, that's because it's a combination of all these four together. Yeah, if they buy a £500,000 property, the all-in stamp duty, including the 2% surcharge, is around 8.5%. Yeah, so this is the rate that is applicable now. Okay, it's quite fair. Okay, foreigners only pay extra 2%, which is not a lot compared to most of the other global cities in the world. Okay, commercial properties. Okay, if you have a client who is interested to buy 6 units and more, okay, then commercial properties rate applies. As you can see, commercial property rate is very, very small, very low. It's only up to 5% only. I do have some investors who buy 6 properties at one shot, then they are eligible to only pay this commercial stamp duty rate. And this commercial stamp duty, right, has to be 6 properties from the same buyer to the same seller. So you cannot say that, oh, this 3 buyers want to buy 6 properties from 3 different sellers or 4 different sellers. It doesn't work this way. So it has to be 1 buyer, 1 seller, 6 properties. Then you are eligible for the commercial properties rate. Yeah. Of course, if you're unclear, always check with us, or we can put you in touch with the tax consultant who will give you the best advice. Okay. Okay. So the next one is income tax. Okay, this one is a bit more complicated. I will have on the 22nd of November, I will do up a few examples of different cash flow, then like it better kind of explains the tax. Okay, but for Indonesian clients, they have this tax-free allowance of £12,570. So assuming that if let's say for example like you buy a £500,000 property, you rent out your property for 2,500 a month, 1 year you got £30,000. Okay, so £30,000 you need to minus off the letting fees that you pay to your agent, the service charge that you pay to for maintenance. Yeah, then after that the rest is taxable. Okay, then before you are being taxed, okay, every person gets 12,570. You minus off this 12,570, then whatever that's balance, you're actually taxed at 20%. So for clients who are buying a property, okay, that is less than that's £500,000, usually they will not get into this category of 40%. It will never happen, because anything that's £500,000, you are renting out for like 2006, 2007, maximum 2008 a month. It will never, after deducting all your deductibles, it will never go across this 50,000 mark. Yeah. So unless your client is buying a property of like 2 million, 3 million, or even 4 million, then perhaps, okay, yeah, in terms of all the rental that they collect might actually exceed and go into the higher band rate. Yeah. Then the last bit, right, that I just want to cover is capital gains tax. So capital gains tax, okay, is when you sell the property, and then after that, whatever money that you make out of the property, you are subjected to capital gains tax. Okay, say for example, you buy a property for 500,000, you sell the property for 600,000, you make 100,000. So this 100,000 is subjected to tax. But before you are being taxed, so your 100,000, okay, you minus off the commission that you pay to the agent, and you also have to minus off the stamp duty that you pay when you first buy the property. That you can use to deduct off the 100,000 gains that you make. So actually, whatever that you are taxed, is actually whatever you are left with that is taxable is a lot lesser than what people always imagine it to be. Okay, and then the personal allowance has changed a little bit. I think it's now £3,000. It's no longer £12,300. So anything more than $3,001 is up to the first 50,000, you are taxed at 18%, and anything that's higher than 50,000, you are taxed at 28%. Okay, so the last one, my last slide is just to tell you that even though Barclays does not provide all the services below, but through our partners network, we have got facilities for mortgage brokers, solicitors, tax consultants, letting agents, and even companies that helps you to set up UK holding companies to buy properties. So it's a one-stop solution for your clients if they come through Propnex and Barclays. So we are able to hold their hand and help them with their UK property investment journey all the way until the property is completed, all the way until they rent out their property, and even eventually when they sell the property. So just to give them a peace of mind that all this partners network are people that we have worked with for many years. They are very experienced at what they do. Yeah, so so that the whole investment journey when they buy a property, it's a lot more seamless, and they don't have to worry too much. Yeah, with that, I've come to the end of my presentation. I know I've talked a lot. I'm not too sure whether there's any questions. I can see that there's a lot of messages which I've not really.
Yang akan membantu teman-teman untuk menyebutkan kalau rate sewa, rental rate is very high, right? So jadi teman-teman nggak usah khawatir kalau untuk klien. Biasanya kan kalau investor mereka selalu tanya, kalau disewakan gimana? Jangan khawatir, karena di sana rental atau sewa itu sangat tinggi dan permintaan juga sangat tinggi, tetapi supply-nya yang berkurang. Oleh karena itu teman-teman kalau punya klien investor terutama, nanti aja di grup chat di grup ada pertanyaan atau mau sekarang tanya langsung silakan mumpung ada mereka. Nanti undang untuk event tanggal 23 dan 24. Oke, ada yang mau tanya mungkin teman-teman? Apartment near Imperial College London, can we rent it? I think it's outside.
We have some projects that's near Imperial College. In fact, one of the project that we are showcasing is behind is Imperial College. Yeah, White City Living.
So maybe let me add on a little bit. The primary is a developer, so they would sell sales of property. So for renting, right, we will have to look for local agencies to help your client rent it out or to rent an apartment. So for this service, we can also introduce letting firms that's very strong in Barclay projects. So you can just PM any of your ICs or myself, and then we can help your clients with such needs. So for this coming Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I just hope that everyone can just tell your clients, who might have kids planning to go London for study, or already have kids studying in London, renting right now, because these are all your potential clients. We have clients who have intention to send their kids to London next year, and right now they're looking for property already. So we just want you to tell your clients that you have access to London properties, and Barclay is one of the very good and established developer in London, and I'm sure we will be able to find a product for your clients. So just bring them down. We will introduce ourselves. We'll give them the confidence, so that in future there's any inquiries that's coming in, we can also help your clients. And if they want to fly into Singapore, because Barclay have an office in Singapore, we can also have a one-to-one meetup with them in Singapore if they were to fly down. Jane, you're on your laptop, right? I was just wondering, do you want to show them your office?
Oh, wow. Unfortunately, I'm on my laptop. Yeah, but I'll tell you what, I'll take some pictures, and then after that, when we go to Indonesia, I can just flash like some of our,
Okay, so to give you the confidence that your client can come in, we will help them. So all you need to do is just introduce your client to us. Okay? Any questions?
Usually, Indonesian agent keep silent during the Zoom meeting.
Yes.
But later, after they process anything they already hear about, they will keep asking in the group chat, in the WhatsApp. I think that's all.
Okay,
no problem. Yeah.
All right. So thank you, everyone. Hope to see all of you in Surabaya and Jakarta soon. So any questions, just send to us, and we will reply ASAP. Okay?
Ya, jadi teman-teman ada yang mau tanyain nggak ini? Karena kalau nggak ada yang mau ditanyakan, mereka mau ini.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you, Jane.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jane. Thank you, Angie.
Thank you, Angie. Thank you, Jane.